Hello and welcome to Run Testers, my name's Nick. In this video we're going to be comparing the Nike Alphafly 3 and the Saucony Endorphin Elite. So the Alphafly 3 and the Endorphin Elite are two of the top carbon plate racing shoes on the market and two of the most expensive as well. The Alphafly is £285, $285, whereas the Endorphin Elite is £280 or $275. They're very similar in weight. The Alphafly is 220 grams or 7.7 ounces, whereas the Endorphin Elite is 219 grams or 7.7 ounces. Both of those in my UK size 9. They both have an 8mm drop and they both go up to just shy of 40mm at the heel to be in line with World Athletics regulations. So when it comes to the design of the two shoes, you've got an atom knit upper on the Alphafly with this booty style fit with pull tabs to help you get it on. There's a little bit of support around the heel there, but in general it's a very breathable open mesh, bit of enforcement around the toe box as well. Then you have a ZoomX midsole, Nike's very famous PEBA based foam that really helps set off the whole carbon shoe revolution. And as well as that foam, you've got air zoom pods under the forefoot of the shoe that provide even more energy return than the foam alone, and a full length carbon plate running through the length of the shoe. With the Alphafly 3 you've got a continuous midsole, so it hasn't got the big cutout in the centre of the shoe that it had with previous versions, though there is still a very big cutout running down the centre of the shoe on the bottom to reduce the weight of it. Then you've got a fast shot rubber outsole, pretty good forefoot coverage, very minimal coverage at the heel here, but it's actually looking like it's very well designed, holding up pretty well for me, and it's a reasonably grippy rubber as well. With the Endorphin Elite you've also got obviously a very breathable open upper here with actually very open sections that are completely cut out of the top of the shoe to reduce a little bit of weight here. You've got a very slightly strange little pad of foam at the back there to hold the back of the foot and a little bit of structure and support above the foam, but as with the Alphafly, it's a very lightweight upper to keep the weight of this racing shoe down. You've got a Power Run HG midsole, which is Saucony's new top material, coming in above Power Run PB that we see on shoes like the Endorphin Pro. Then you've got the Speed Roll rocker geometry, we've seen on a few Saucony shoes, and you've got a carbon plate running through the shoe and that big cutout running down the centre of it. Not quite as big and long as the Alphafly's one, but same principle here, reduce a bit of weight on the bottom of the shoe. The outsole, you've got a similar setup to the Alphafly, good forefoot coverage, minimal at the heel, and actually nothing on one side of the heel, which is bold and a little risky, but I haven't actually ripped up that part of the shoe too much, even as a heel striker, having used the Endorphin Elite for about 100k, I think, so far.
So the fit for me in these two shoes, the Alphafly 3, I would definitely say to my size, I'm a UK size 8 in this shoe, and this is a UK size 8. The upper is quite restrictive. It's a race shoe. If you've tried any of the Alphaflys, they are quite tricky to get on, but once you've got them on, they tend to be quite fine. I would say to my size in this, because I think the new upper is quite comfortable. There is enough space for me. I have a fairly normal width foot, so I have no issues with this, but I do find it pretty tricky to get on. I think Kieran would probably have a problem with this because he's got quite wide feet, but I would say to my size in the Alphafly 3. In the Saucony Endorphin Elite, I'm a UK size 8. This is UK size 8. What I would say about the shoe is I'm fine with it over 5k and 10k distance, but when I've done half marathons in this shoe, I really notice the end of the shoe. So I think I'd probably go half a size up given the choice. It's a little bit more of a restrictive upper than the Alphafly 3, and I really noticed that. The aggressive feel of the shoe really puts your foot into a position where my toes were rubbing it against the ends, and I have had blisters from this shoe before. So I'd probably go half a size up in the Saucony Endorphin Elite.
Comes to fit, both shoes fit me well in my normal running shoe size. That is a UK 9, which is a US 10 in both of these shoes. I have enough room in the toe box, good hold around the midfoot. Heel designs are, I think I prefer the Alphafly one myself. Like, it hugs the Achilles quite well, but hasn't irritated my Achilles. Whereas this little blob of foam that Saucony has done in quite a few of its shoes has annoyed my Achilles at times over the course of the last year. It's on a few different shoes, like I say. It's not too big a little blob, but just seems ideally placed to slightly irritate my Achilles. So I'm not a big fan of that, but in general the fit of both shoes has been fine in my normal running shoe size.
So these are two shoes that are designed for running very fast in, and they're quite different, to be honest, in my experiences. The Endorphin Elite is a shoe that I really didn't get on with when I first started running in it. I'm a massive fan of the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. It's a very natural feeling shoe, very comfortable. I've used it for most distances, I think maybe all distances up to marathon, and I got PBs in all those distances when I was doing it last year, the year before, last year, 2022. The Endorphin Elite, I really didn't get on to begin with. It's a very aggressive shoe. It really puts your foot into a position that is not necessarily that comfortable, but it is an incredibly fast shoe. My half marathon PB 122 is in this shoe. I didn't find it a very comfortable shoe for that half marathon, but I did feel like it was really helping me run fast. Since then, I've only really used it for 5k and 10k races, because for half marathon I just found it too uncomfortable and I was really struggling with it by the end. But for 5k and 10k, I've really warmed to this shoe. I think it's a fantastic fast shoe, and if you're going out to get a PB, it really puts you in the mindset of running fast, because you cannot run slow in this shoe. It forces you to run into to your foot into a position that propels you forward, and makes you go fast. The Alphafly 3, the Alphafly 1 is probably my second favourite carbon plate shoe after the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. The Alphafly 3, I've done 40k in this shoe so far. I've only raced 5k distance in this shoe, but I've done intervals in it as well. I'm not too sure I like it more than the Alphafly 1 yet. I haven't tried the Alphafly 2. I need to pick one of those up. I think it definitely feels lighter. It definitely feels more like the Vaporfly than the first Alphafly to me. The original Alphafly just feels like a very big shoe. Lovely, cruising, soft shoe for marathons. But this feels like it's sort of in the middle of an Alphafly and a Vaporfly for me. It feels lighter. It feels like it's got a little bit more pop in it. But because it's lighter, it also feels a little bit less structured for me, so I don't feel as much support in the midsole, and I also think this back section, which is lessened than what you'd find in the original Alphafly, I find it really squishes when I'm running in it. I notice that quite a bit, so I feel like I'm getting closer to the floor with this shoe. The front part of the shoe does feel more propulsive. I prefer the front end of the Alphafly 3 to the front of the Alphafly 1, but overall I'm not sure if I like it more yet than the Alphafly 1, just because the feel for me isn't quite what I like. I like a bigger shoe when it comes to long distance training for like marathons and things like that. So I'm still on the fence at the moment. I need to do some proper long distance races to really see. But when it comes down to these two shoes, I think it really comes down to that aggressive feel of them. The Alphafly 3 for me is a very comfortable shoe. It does feel like it's fast and it's propelling you forward and has bounce and pop in it, but it still feels comfortable to me. It doesn't feel like it's really aggressive like the Endorphin Elite, which for me feels very aggressive. It's probably the most aggressive running shoe I've ever used, and as a result, it's a very specific purpose that I would use this for, which is those 5 and 10k races where I don't mind that aggressive feel, but anything over that, I definitely wouldn't do a marathon in this shoe. I'd just be in so much pain by the end of it because of the way that my foot is placed in the shoe. Whereas the Alphafly 3 is significantly more comfortable. It's definitely softer. The midsole in the Elite is firmer, and I think it's probably a much more accessible shoe for most people. The other things I would say about it, the outsole on both of these shoes, I'm happy to say that the outsole on the Alphafly 3 is a bit sturdier than on a lot of super shoes. The front of it is fantastic, no issues at all with that. The back has these hardened sections which are a little bit deeper. Normally I rip off the rubber. With the Vaporfly 3, I basically ripped off the rubber within the first 5k of the first time I used them. These seem to be a little bit firmer and deeper into the shoe, so I think it's got a little bit more durability when it comes to this outsole rubber. The Saucony Endorphin Elite, now I've probably done about 200k in this shoe now, and it's really starting to show. The outsole section of the back here is coming off. It's really worn around this bit here. The front is absolutely fine, no wear and tear on that at all, and to be honest, the midsole foam has actually fared pretty well over that distance. So even though you've got this exposed section on the Endorphin Elite, it looks absolutely fine. It's just this area which I rub away at quite a bit on shoes. So I think the outsole on both of them is very good. I'd say the grip on the Alphafly is better. It has a more, not lugs, but a system on the outsole, this sort of waffle design. It's a bit better, whereas you've got this smooth thing on the Endorphin Elite. So I'd much prefer to use the Alphafly 3 in trickier road conditions than the Endorphin Elite.
So I've logged a lot of miles and raced multiple times in both of these shoes, and I do think they are two of the fastest shoes on the market. They've got very high price tags. They do deliver on those prices in terms of the amount of performance you get from them. They do feel pretty different on the run, I would say. Both of them do offer a lot of propulsion, that's for sure, but the Elite has a noticeably firmer feel, and that firmness can stray into harshness at times, I find, when I'm running really hard in the shoe. When you're moving along at more relaxed paces, you know, it's fine, doesn't feel too harsh, but yeah, when I've gone into race pace mode, so over 10k and half marathon in the shoe, I have had quite a lot of forefoot discomfort by the end. Just feels like it's a fairly firm foam, fairly unyielding at the front of the shoe there, but it does deliver a lot of energy return, but the trade-off is it can be a little bit harsh, I think. The Alphafly 3, in contrast, is a lot more accommodating. It's a very comfortable shoe. You've got the pods under the forefoot there, but actually they just do a good job in delivering more propulsion rather than in any way creating a harsh ride, and I think it's a more comfortable shoe for those longer extended race efforts for sure. And when I was running in both shoes at the same time, actually those pods were notable in the amount of extra pop they provide compared to a full foam midsole alone. It was the same when I tested the Alphafly 3 against the Vaporfly 3. It's an interesting sensation. Both of these shoes are very aggressive. They rock you onto your forefoot really fast, have a really good toe spring, but the pods just add that little bit more, I find, when I'm running in the Alphafly. It just gives you that slightly firmer feeling under the forefoot and then that nice explosive energy return. Overall, the Zoom X foam is a little bit more squishy, I'd say, than the Power Run HG foam. A little bit more bounce in it as well, and it's, like I say, a bit more protective. It feels like a foam that's going to save your legs deep into the marathon, whereas the Saucony beat me up a little bit on those longer runs. Both of them, like I say, feel very fast, and I do think they're really good for short races. They feel like they're very good at accelerating, rounding corners aggressively, which wouldn't always have said about the Alphafly in the past. But I think where the Alphafly has the edge in terms of race paces, that it really feels good locking into a pace with it and just cruising along. I never really felt like I was cruising that much in the Endorphin Elite. I felt fast and I ran fast in it, and I feel like I can turn my legs over really well, but never felt so much like I was in cruise control as with the Alphafly, where you're rolling along. It feels like you're not expending as much energy as you should be to hold that race pace, and that obviously bodes very well for those longer race efforts in particular, but works well for everything. Like in a 10k, it felt really good to do that in this shoe. I actually run a very similar time 10k in both of these shoes, but I also enjoyed it a lot more in the Alphafly. Felt a bit beat up and a bit worn down by the Endorphin Elite by the end. So both of these, I think, are top tier races for speed alone. Alphafly 3 is the better one for me. Not only has it got a slightly more comfortable, accommodating ride, I think it's just a little bit more impressive and propulsive and helps you lock into those speeds for long periods. So certainly be the top choice for a marathon for me. I think over short distances it's not too much of a difference between them, but I do find the Alphafly a bit more comfortable. Like I say, that little bit more impressive in terms of the propulsion you get. Looking at the RRP of both these shoes, and the Alphafly 3 is the clear winner for me, but I will say the Elite is available for a lot less than its RRP these days, and you know that is something to consider then, because I do think this is a fantastic racing shoe. I do think the harshness I felt is something more to do with gait, so I think not everyone's going to feel that. Like I spoke to people at the end of the London Marathon who'd used the shoe, and they're talking about how comfortable it was the whole way through, so it won't affect everyone in the same way, but I do think it's a shoe I'd be a bit wary of just spending a lot of money on and then assuming it's going to be your racer going forward. I don't think there's any real way to try before you buy with this, but you know, get it in mind that it might not be the one to go and do long distance events in, but I do think it's a very good short distance option for pretty much everyone. And then if you don't get that kind of harshness I did, I do think you'll get a very explosive, propulsive ride over the course of those longer events. If you can find the shoe for like under 150 quid, then something it's a bit of a bargain given the level of performance here. But I do think it's not the most accessible super shoe out there. The Alphafly, I think, has a bit more of an accommodating ride that will suit more runners. But yeah, both of them I do think are fantastic shoes. I prefer the Alphafly 3 overall.
So my verdict on these two shoes, I definitely going for the Alphafly 3. I think it's an all-round significantly better shoe for most distances. I think it's more comfortable. I think it is got nicer, little bit more cushioning. I think I could run exactly as fast in both of these shoes, and in general I just think it's an all-round better, more comfortable shoe for lots of distances. Endorphin Elite I have a love-hate relationship with. For those shorter distances, I really do like picking up this shoe because it really puts me in the mindset of running fast. It makes you run fast. You can't have a slow run in this shoe. You just wouldn't enjoy it. It would just be uncomfortable, and your foot would be in a strange position for running slowly. But it's a very specific shoe. So for the price, I'd never pick this shoe up just because of the specific use for it, which is those shorter distance ones for me. But I do love this shoe. I think it's a fantastic fast shoe for that purpose. But overall, if you're going to go and buy a carbon plate shoe, I think the Alphafly 3 is by far the best option out of these two because you can use it for more things, it's more comfortable, and in general, it's just a better shoe.
that's our comparison of the Saucony Endorphin Elite Nike Alphafly 3. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please do like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.